Hi, I'm Kevin Mahan.
And I'm Sam Chaplin.
I host the Attitude Era podcast.
And I haven't seen any films.
And welcome to Cinema Swirl. Hello everyone and welcome to episode 3 of Cinema Swirl. With me, Kevin Mahan. Hello, and joined as always I am in this journey through Hollywood and cinema and Technicolor. My one true OTP, Sam Chaplin. Hello, Sam.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
You're all smiling because you're all like, yay, I like watching films now.
I'm getting into it.
Would you consider yourself now well versed in the realms of Hollywood?
No, not at all.
Do you feel any more normal?
Slightly, but mainly more Pepsi Max related than film related. I think someone on Twitter said, I'm addicted to Pepsi Max as well.
I like Pepsi.
they were drinking Pepsi Max while listening to the episode, and that really warmed my cockles.
So again, it's much like finding out that other people have not seen films.
Yeah.
You're finding out that other people have an addiction for a best shoddily marketed product.
Yeah, I'm not feeling ingratiated into the having seen films gang.
I think you feel more entrenched in the other gangs you're already a part of.
I'm kind of wanting to abandon this because I'm losing my membership of the not seen stuff.
Well, we have this is interesting. This first episode where we've done the new system, the scheme, so to speak. I think we'll refer to it as the scheme.
Okay.
I like the scheme.
Yeah. Which
was the voting for episodes. So the choices for this episode were The Shining, Back to the Future, and The Blues Brothers. And it started off neck and neck, but then it thankfully became such a landslide that I didn't have to bother counting them all.
I counted. You can do the
you did.
search
You
thing.
counted.
Yeah,
that's good. But it was the Back to the Future though.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But with a healthy second place though, The Shining.
Yes.
Enough so that it would be under strong consideration, I would imagine, from people for the next round of voting, which it'll be.
We'll put it back in.
We'll put it back in rotation. No biggie.
Throw it back in the swirl.
You were telling me that your dad has started listening to the podcast. This is something which I want to chat about briefly.
Yeah, my dad's been listening to all the episodes.
Let's
both episodes.
Call me
Ian.
We're on first name terms.
Ian Chaplin. Are we listening now? So.
Well, I'm on first name terms with your dad. If you were on first name terms with your dad, it'd be weird, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Like, how's it going, Ian? Like, what's that like?
Mr. Chaplin at home.
Mr. Chaplin's his father. He's Ian, Well, you'd mentioned he had. Was it about the or band or hypothetical band Raging Waters?
We were talking about Raging Waters being a hypothetical band. A lot of people thought we didn't understand that it was a water park. They saying, no, it's a
Mate,
it's
that
a
is how podcasts and Twitter works. Is just a succession of people assuming you don't know something when you've made a joke about it. Who are these two confused people on my headphones?
We thought Raging Waters would be a good band name, but my dad sent me a text in the week just saying, forget Raging Waters. Murder with a Girder, now that's a band name.
Murder with a Girder. That sounds more like a dark Dr. Seuss novel than a band name per se. Well, that's good, because, your dad listens. My dad doesn't listen.
Okay.
I came to the conclusion recently that he hasn't the faintest idea what's going on here.
Does he know what a podcast is?
He knows the words.
Okay.
He can pronounce the fuck out of it. He can probably spell it and use it in a sentence. But it was when I showed my parents the animation that Joe did for your Chewbacca impression, which I think is a lovely little animation. Yeah. And if you're not subscribed on YouTube, you should go check out Cinema Swirl's YouTube channel. Nice little plug there. But I showed that to my parents, to give an idea of now they can know what it is I'm doing, because they don't know about rest and all that. Showed them that, and they smiled and they nodded the whole time. Then my dad turned to me and went, "So who are you paying for the podcast?" Hasn't a fucking clue. Not even the slightest grasp. Who am I paying for the podcast? Or question mark. God.
Well, maybe one day.
Someday.
Mr. Mann will. Dr. Mann.
Dr. Mann will figure it out. But so we actually also put out the call as well for people listening to send emails, questions, comments, things of that nature to cinemaswirl@gmail.com.
Cinemaswirl at gmail.com.
At gmail.com. Just basically to give us some more talking points and things like that. We had a load of emails actually, a lot to keep us going. But don't let that put you off if you've got a good question to send in.
We can't return any of your drawings, but
we hang all of the fan mail right on the fridge where everyone can see, on the digital fridge. But this one comes from Chris Young looking almost, because you're a cinema goer. Even though you've not seen any films, you have been to the cinema. I've been to the cinema with you.
Yeah.
So I can attest that you've been there. But Chris Young writes and asks, what are your top 3 absolute no-nos, aka rules, when watching when watching films? For example, you must not under any circumstances do something like this. And so if you've got any that spring to mind...
Okay, yeah.
Name on me thick and fast.
So 3 rules.
3 rules.
Yeah.
Or, they could be things you have to do or things you can't do.
Yeah, okay, number 1, it should be in the evening, yeah? Number 2...
You've never, a morning film?
No, I mean, it's happened. But these are, nice little guidelines.
Imagine the first thing you do in the morning is watch a film, like.
You can get a discount, so... Joke's on you.
Oh, I think I saw, Passion of the Christ at, 10 in the morning.
Best time for it.
Man, that was a stark wake-up call that day. Like.
So I'm saying evening.
Evening.
I'm saying no required note-taking. And
so wait, are you saying the Cinema Swirl breaks one of your top 3 rules for watching films?
And, should be in a cinema. So those are my 3 rules for watching films. There.
So when we do this podcast, we hit a solid 1 out of 3 of those.
Yeah.
So in terms though of snacks. Are you a popcorn man?
I was joking there. I was just trying to say that.
Would you be in of the popcorn variety, nachachos? I had a slushie for the first time ever recently at the cinema.
Kevin, you've never had a slushie?
Yeah, I know.
For fuck's sake, Kevin.
Oh, look at that, huh? The vitriol in his voice.
Do
I see a beard going through there?
No. But
no.
I've really tried, but no. It's slushies. I'm happy with the slushie. I'll have a slushie. It's mostly drinks I'll go for at the cinema.
You are a thirsty man.
I'm a thirsty boy.
Actually, when I think about it, I think most times you and I have went to the cinema, it's been so you've been able to drink 1.5 litres of Pepsi Max in a public place and not get frowned at. Because if you just pulled out a big massive bottle out of a sports bag and started glugging it if we were at the zoo, I'd be like, hang on a second now. Put that away. You're making a scene. But all of a sudden, if it's in a giant reinforced paper cup at the cinema...
It's fine. It's acceptable. Yeah, so I'm very happy with that. But no, the cinema snacks I don't tend to go for. If I do, I go for popcorn, but I'm annoyed at how noisy it is.
It's kind of like people almost letting off indoor fireworks when they're eating popcorn, I find a lot of the time. Well, I used to be a mad purist. I was like... I was like straight edge cinema wise basically.
Nothing.
I didn't take fizzy drinks. I didn't eat popcorn. Yep. I did not imbibe M&M Crispies. Straight edge for life. Yeah, I would have maybe a bottle of water. Okay. And I took those beliefs very seriously for the longest time. Then they opened Acosta's in the cinema.
Right.
And now I get a giant coffee.
You get coffee for the cinema?
I get a big coffee at the cinema. And I get a toasty. And I'm sitting there with my mad overpriced toasty and coffee. I'm like, look at these maroons. They don't know how to be cinema.
Got your cinema toasty.
Yeah, I gotta get my cinema toasty on. Well, I think that will cover for rules. That was interesting. If you've any more further questions, cinemaswirl@gmail.com. On to today's film.
Yep.
And it's another big one. Another one which... this is one which I think was the original ones when I asked you. And you
the big talking points. The ones where you throw them out and I say, I haven't seen them, and you say... Well,
for fuck's sake.
There we go.
This is you'd be hard-pressed to find someone who, one, has not seen this film. It takes special work not to have seen this. And also, two, to find someone who wouldn't put this on your must-see list. This is for most people, our age anyway, I would consider this to be numero uno.
Okay.
Back to the Future.
No, I think there's been more pressure on me to have seen this than there was with Star Wars, I'd say. Because, weirdly.
Star Wars is because I think we mentioned before, because it's a big franchise and it's there's this whole thing, it's
Back to the Future's a franchise.
But Back to the Future, yeah, it is, but it's again, like Terminator, I don't think it's not got this separate subculture. There's not people who have cons that are just Back to the Future.
Yeah, Star Wars is a universe
Back to the Future is some films. Three films, yeah. So, I mean, yeah, but that being said, you have the first one came out in 85, and then the second and third one came out in 89 and 90. Mm-hmm. So it's essentially like, people usually older than us probably will hold this a lot dearer. Like, I know my brother and his crowd, that era, you know, the people who are in their late 20s, early 30s would hold this dear. But fuck me, how did you not see this?
I don't know. I've never seen it.
Like, it's on all the time.
Is it?
Saturday afternoons on ITV. It's
just on.
Christmas, it's always on.
Because since we've done the podcast, Terminator 2 and all of the Star Wars films have been on telly like multiple times.
They know what the people want, Sam, is what I'm saying.
I think we're either setting a trend here.
Or we should look out for Back to the Future being on like Channel 5 or whatever it is later on tonight. One thing about this is that for me as a kid anyway, this is where like my concept of time travel came from. Okay. Because it's like, this is, I would say arguably,
is it the time
travel thing.
Okay.
What? This is going to sound like a really weird question.
Okay.
Well, where did
I get my time travel?
When did you get exposed to time travel? Because I don't want to be like the situation where you go down and watch a film like, whoa, going backwards in time. Hello, you know?
I was going to say, already I'm thrown off by the title. You know? Back to the Future?
There's a big red squiggly underline underneath it. Like, did you mean Back to the Past?
Yeah,
like,
made mistakes straight away.
Paperclip is like, your movie's wrong there.
Yeah.
Like,
where did my sort of understanding of time travel come from?
Don't say Terminator 2 from the previous episode.
Well, I had some knowledge of manipulating time from Bernard's watch, of course.
For fuck's sake.
Watch Bernard's watch. You can stop time, and then you can quickly do your homework.
So I love about Bernard's watch is you give this little prick such godly powers, and he uses it for the most banal reasons.
He really does.
Ever. Yeah. Like homework, catching the bus, just stuff to do at school, really.
So there's that element of time manipulation. I think other time travel stuff just comes out in little spurts in other stuff.
Simpsons
really. again. But lots of stuff uses the whole time travel dynamic. It's very confusing, but that's kind of the point, isn't it? Yeah.
So, a couple of ones about this. Do you know any of the characters going into this? Names of characters? I assume you're familiar with some of the actors, but Christopher Lloyd, for instance, is the. Do you know who that is?
I know. Well, I know he's the zany doctor.
Zany doctor.
He's zany doctor.
Gotcha.
I don't know anything else he's been in. I don't think.
So you only know him from one movie
that I haven't seen. Yeah.
Okay.
That's how I know Christopher Lloyd. And then how
about Marty McFly? Sorry, Michael J. Fox.
I know of him.
Have you seen him in? Is this another case of know him from one movie and you've not seen him?
What? Like, name another.
Teen Wolf.
Okay, not seen Teen Wolf.
Spin City.
Not seen Spin City.
Fucking hell! Well, I don't know. I mean, like. It's hard when it's like a guy. It's like Mark Hamill almost.
Yeah.
With Luke
Mark
Skywalker
Hamill is a real kind of like that's his main thing.
Yeah. Well, no. Back to the Future is Michael J. Fox's thing. So we've assessed then.
I don't know the people. You
haven't. Not only do you not know them, but you haven't seen either of these men.
With them in. I've seen them. Like I know what they look like.
So you can't do like
seen them.
You couldn't do a Doc Brown impression for me right now. Then like
no,
it's interesting because has Back to the Future it hasn't really like popped up in things like Simpsons or being referenced a lot as much as maybe Terminator or Star Wars.
No.
Do you know what a DeLorean is?
That's the car.
Right.
That's the time travel car.
Okay. Do you know why they're going back in time? Or forwards in time. Do you know where they're going?
Kevin, they're going back to the future. That's where they're going. No, they're going...
This is brilliant. This reminds me of like doing book reports when I was younger and I wouldn't have read the book. And I'm like, surely, right.
To base it on the title.
Mr. Tom says goodnight, right? He says it over and over again until this report is finished. They go back to the future.
Yeah. No, I don't know why they would need to go back in time. At all,
or do they go to the past or the future in this? Do you know?
Well, I'm guessing probably both. Now I'm thinking they're jigging about in time in the DeLorean.
No particular reason why, or
66 miles an hour. Is that time travel speed? No.
close, like, but
166.
and we could be here guessing numbers all day, like. Oh, another one, because this is one of my favourite actors of all time.
88.
There you go.
88.
Nice.
Yep.
Do you know how many gigawatts it needs for
88.
80? They go back to the future 88 times. Crispin Glover, is he a name familiar to your ear?
No.
You don't know Crispin Glover at all?
So he's not the Doctor Man. That's
Christopher Lloyd. I'm
Crispin.
Crispin.
Yeah.
Because with Crispin Dry, the smooth face Crispin Dry. The Crispin Glover.
Is that a character?
No, that's an actor. Oh my god, you don't know who Crispin Glover is?
No.
Have I not played you Clowny Clown?
I thought that was the Doctor Man making music.
You thought Christopher Lloyd made an album?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ!
That's what I thought. That was my understanding of it when you were playing me creepy.
So when I played you
song.
Clowny Clown, sorry, if you don't know, folks at home, Crispin Glover, who's one of the leads in this, he's an odd fish. He went and he recorded an album, very strange, very weird. He went on Letterman, was very peculiar, like nearly kicked Dave Letterman in the face. Like, he was a troll before it was cool, like, you know. But the fact that you thought that was Christopher Lloyd... I know, sorry, it's just, that's mine, they're so different in my mind.
Christopher Lloyd, like, he's got the weird hair, and he seems a bit kooky, and I thought he'll make weird music about clowns.
You think the only thing that's tying these two together is the Chris sound?
Yeah.
That is basically all we got going. So, right, going into this, we've established you don't know any of the players involved. Fuck me. Because this is the first movie, because you knew... I
knew bits about Star Wars, I knew bits about Terminator. With Back to the Future, I know there's time travel. I know Marty McFly has a red jacket thing with the arms cut off it, because I've seen the poster. And I know that the Doctor has hair. Has funny hair.
Like many characters in the movie.
Big wide eyes.
He has hair.
And there's the DeLorean. And that travels in time at 88 miles an hour. And
it's TBA where it's going.
Yeah. It could be back, could be forward to the past.
Damn, that vague title, am I right?
Oh, God. I mean, I hope that gets answered early on. Where are they going?
Where are they going?
Yeah.
What are they doing?
I have no idea why they would need to travel in time.
Does the phrase... Have you ever heard the phrase Great Scott?
Yeah. Is that like that's an expression of surprise? Is that from this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, where have you heard that?
I mean, like people like you and other... no, not
like what I'm going around the house going, Great Scott! Let's record a podcast, Great Scott. I don't think I've ever said Great Scott in my life.
People like just people who would like make references to stuff.
To things.
Yeah. It's a thing where I'm like, I didn't know that's where that was from, but Great Scott, that's a thing that people say sometimes. I've seen like other like little pictured parodies of stuff with Back to the Future, with other time travel things.
Such as?
A la Doctor Who. You know, these kind of like rubbish, they're alright t-shirts.
Very fine territory there. I don't give a fuck about Doctor Who, but people take that shit seriously.
Yeah, Doctor Who, it's alright.
Oh, look, it's a TARDIS that is also a DeLorean.
Yeah, there's t-shirts where it's like
fuck, that's
Doctor
not
Who.
Actually a thing.
No, there's Doctor Who in like a blue DeLorean. And be like, oh yeah, and there's one with Lost, because there's some time travel in Lost, and I love Lost. So, I mean, some of my time travel knowledge comes from Lost.
So where my Lost heads at, like, tweet in if you're a Lost nut like Sam, like.
Represent.
Represent, yeah. Okay, well, I think it's time to sit back and spend another Saturday afternoon watching a very Saturday afternoon movie. We're going to go put the kettle on.
I'm excited, by the way. I just need to clarify that it is really going to be good, because I have no idea.
You're completely in the mood. But you know, I mean, people have spoken fondly of this to you, is what I'm saying.
People get really upset when I haven't seen it. Like, properly angry.
Is it more of a... I mean, this is one of the movies... When you told me you've not seen Terminator or you've not seen Star Wars, I was angry. Like, actually, just kind of like the fact that you can manage to go so far without seeing the movies angered me.
Back to the Future provokes like a definitely angrier response.
For me, I feel sorry for you that you've not seen this.
Okay.
That's like a really horrible thing to say.
But now you kind of... we're sharing this.
You're literally about to watch it, like. So yeah,
we'll fix this.
We'll fix this. Yeah. All right, let's go do a cinema swirl. Don't need fame. Don't need a credit card to change my name. We just spent an afternoon watching Back to the Future.
We sure did.
Initial gut reaction?
I feel good. But that's because the ending was very good.
Yes.
And the sort of the latter half of the sort of final act.
Yeah.
Very good. I do have some reservations that we'll get to about the rest of the film. It's not overwhelmingly positive, but I feel pretty good.
Yeah, it's weird because like this is the first time I've seen this movie in some time. So it's interesting looking back at some of these movies and kind of going like, was there a bit of nostalgia at play? And fuck me if I might incur the wrath of many people for thinking this, but yeah, I don't know. Have I turned to stone in these past few years and not realised it?
Maybe.
I didn't feel the sense of childhood whimsy or joy that I got with the last two films we watched.
This has been the first one where I think not having watched it as a child has kind of affected
how much you could enjoy it. But for me as well, it felt that kind of like I didn't enjoy this as much as when I watched it as a kid, and I could say I did when I watched the other ones. So I mean, like, do you think it lived like? Did you have any expectations really going in, or? Well, from other people's reactions, I had assumed it would be amazing. People are always vague about it, though. Yeah, because it's like with Star Wars and Terminator, things like that. It's kind of like, oh, you haven't seen Terminator. The X, Y, and Z happens. These guys are in da da da. But this is just kind of. Usually, forget me if I'm wrong, but me included, because I was one of these people. They're going to go, you haven't seen Back to the Future, holy fuck. And then the conversation tends to end. There's no follow-up to that. But the bit with the principal and... Yeah. Well, off the bat, I realised that this is possibly one of the first Spielberg movies which Steven Spielberg produced this bad boy. Yeah. Steven Spielbergo. I didn't know who was involved. Producer director wise. Steven Spielberg. I know Spielberg. I just meant going in, didn't know whose film this was. Well, Zemeckis, the director. Well, he did this. He did Forrest Gump. Okay. He's one of those kind of like Hollywood dudes. He's pumped out. He's produced a lot of stuff. He's been more selective with directing. Right. He directed the Polar Express and things like that. Usually he veers on the heartwarming spectrum of things. Yeah. But he directed and produced Back to the Futures 1, 2, and 3. So that's kind of his claim to fame, so to speak. But Spielberg's got his name stamped on there at the start. Spielberg's executive producer. Yeah. So that's just a name to sell it. More. Well, I don't know. Mate, I don't even know what a producer does. No, who does? He's the one who draws the dollar signs on the sacks of money that they get given. Yep. We start off with lots of clocks. Yeah, immediately I knew this film was going to be timey. All of the clocks. Now, it lays it on thick. It lays it on so fucking thick. And that will come up later. And it comes up multiple times. And it's one of these movies that, as a kid, I felt so fucking smart. Yeah. Because I'm like, the thing they said in Act 1... happened in Act 3. Well, as a child, you must have been basically me now. More or less, because stand-up comedy, we can draw an analogy to it. Okay. It is essentially standing up, clapping your hands because you got a callback joke. Yeah. Late in the comedian's set, Yeah. I remembered. Yeah. I did it. There's a lot of that. There's a lot of that. At the start, there's as we're panning across all the clocks, a lot of clocks. We cut to the TV screen, and there's a news story about some plutonium theft. And I thought, right, I'm going to remember that because that's going to come up later on. And then within seconds, it's they've got a box of plutonium in that room. Yeah. There was no delay between me taking in that knowledge and then it being... There's no wasted motion in this film. To say that every line of dialogue serves purpose in Back to the Future is an understatement. Yeah. Because for the first act anyway, everyone's explaining something or setting up something.
There's a lot of exposition. I think that's the word.
That's the word for it. And yeah, it seemed like as a kid, I'm just kind of like, well, why wouldn't they tell me about the plutonium and on the news report? Yeah. But now I'm like slightly more jaded.
Now I'm thinking Back to the Future could benefit from a Star Wars style scrolly text.
At the time, it's like the Libyans have got a nuclear device kind of thing.
They've got a few paragraphs to get through, and they just put it in the dialogue.
Because if at the start of Star Wars, hilarious would have been if Princess Leia and so she's like, well, you know what they're saying, lads. I mean, it is a time of turmoil in the galaxy, isn't it? I mean, the Galactic Senate has been disbanded, and the Rebel Alliance is working its way.
But that sounds ridiculous. But that's what's happening at the start of Back to the Future.
A lot of exposition,
yeah,
and a lot of Huey Lewis and the News.
Oh yeah, well that's flagged up. I saw that at the start. I thought, okay, I'm going to look forward to hearing that song once later on.
Oh no,
no.
Have you got a tune you'd like to whistle, main character? Ooh. I think I'll go with Huey Lewis and the News.
Yes.
Out of Time and Power of Love are the two main ones from Huey Lewis and the News. I love Huey Lewis and the News.
Okay.
It's clearly not something you share with.
No, I like Power of Love. I mean, I'm not...
How about A New Drug?
Again, I'm not too familiar with...
So you don't want a new drug?
Work of, what?
You don't want a new drug. One that won't make you sick. One that won't make you crash your car or feel 3 feet thick. I want a new drug. Right, sorry for those of you at home, but imagine my face in a bath full of icy water going, "Not a new drug," because that is like in the music video. Anyway, moving on. We are exposition, and they were introduced to. Fucking hell, John Connor could learn a lot from this guy.
I've written down John Connor.
He's a rude dude with attitude.
Yeah. Nike trainers and a skateboard.
Can't tell if he wants to hold a sweet axe or a skateboard in those hands with the sleeves rolled up.
Oh man, yeah, he's got some attitude, and we see him.
Women want him, men want to be him.
Exactly, perfect character. perfect character. He comes in. And he starts cranking up all these dials on his special little machine. He's got this Rube Goldberg system set up to feed the dog at the start. But that's fine. And he comes in, turning up the overdrive. And I thought, okay, this is some time thing going on. No, the overdrive on a big old amplifier.
Now, forgive me wrong. You're a man of music.
Yeah, I do the music for Cinema Swirl.
So you do the music for Cinema Swirl, as seen on Cinema Swirl. Is overdrive a thing?
Yeah. That's like people say distortion now a lot, but it's, the kind of fuzzy.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So turning up that loud is just...
Big loud.
He's basically looking for trouble, basically.
Yeah, and he's got no earplugs.
Yeah, he would have killed it. He plays this massive guitar amplifier.
He's got a tiny little guitar as well, which is really sweet. I think that's just to show up the difference between the guitar and the amplifier.
Or maybe Marty McFly has got massive hands.
Maybe. But he's got no earplugs. So really, at the start of the film, he's fucked his hearing, and he will not be hearing any of the rest of the dialogue.
No, basically, that's why he keeps fucking everything up, because he can't listen to the clear instruction.
Exactly. He's missing a lot of stuff.
So things start off when Marty arranges to meet an older single man in the dead of night in a car park.
Yep.
Can you guess what Kevin's fan theory is for this episode?
Oh.
It's that Doc Brown is a wrong'un.
Yeah, I was thinking these characters they're here and they're doing their stuff.
Except they're...
Yeah. I thought there was going to be a big, Dr. Brown finds Marty McFly, then talks about
it's a pre-existing peculiar relationship.
There, yeah. Which actually, thinking about it now, I quite like, because that saved a lot of explaining.
Lengthy.
Yeah.
Could you imagine if they had to set up a Marty McFly?
Long film.
So yeah, Marty, typical layabout teen of the 80s. He's got his best girl by his side, sneaking around, helping an older man, getting late to school because he's helping an older man. We've all been there. We've all been there.
He's tardy at school. The principal tells him off.
Principal Strickland is all over his case.
Yeah, Principal Exposition.
He is the least inspiring man ever.
Dr. Brown is a screwball. Don't be messing with that Dr. Brown. You're a slacker. Your dad was a slacker.
So he's like, here, more exposition.
You ain't going to amount to nothing.
No McFly, past, present, or future, will amount to anything. And he looks right in the camera. That especially goes for this one over here. Yeah. There'll be no more adventures for you, Marty McFly.
Yeah, so Marty McFly already struggling at school, but he's got the Battle of the Bands, hasn't he? He's got to audition for the Battle of the Bands, and
he's got
the principal even tells him "You're not gonna win that battle, Marty. Give up now."
I'd like to think that. Well, I've had some inspiring teachers in my time. I've had some pretty shit teachers in my time, but no one, least of all a principal, has pulled me aside and went, "You're a piece of shit, no good motherfucker."
It's the fact that he's like, "You're never going to improve."
Never. Don't look at this talent show. You're not even good enough to be in the school talent show. You think he'd be happy for people to be in the talent show?
It's not like Straighten Up and Fly Right. It's
don't
have
bother.
No chance. Don't
bother straightening up because you can't fly right.
And he goes to the audition, plays his rock and roll music. It's just too loud for those squares on the judging panel. So
it's too loud.
So if that was loud, you should have seen my amplifier from before, because that was huge.
That was very loud.
Yeah.
Marty seemed to be a little bit out of time, out of focus, mainly because he has no eardrums or cochlea anymore.
Yeah, exactly. So if you notice any discrepancies with his guitar playing, it's because he can't hear what he's
physically
doing.
Can't hear.
Yeah.
Marty, being a stalwart protagonist of the 1980s, is aspirational, which is like literally the number one thing driving many of the films we'll probably be watching. This movie was viewed as like very positively at the time, as for something for kids to watch, because
it's a role model.
He's a role model. Actually, Ronald Reagan referenced Back to the Future in a speech.
Oh, that's nice.
I think it's because they mentioned him in the film, so maybe they had to.
So he retweeted it.
But he's aspirational. You know, he's like pointing at things that he wants. He's got his best girl by his side. Hopes for a better life.
He just wants to play music and be a success.
And while we're in the middle of being, told about how aspirational he is, save the clock tower. I wonder if that'll come up.
Yeah.
You know what it's like.
30 years ago, that clock tower was struck by lightning, so we need to fix it.
And you're like, get here, you old bag. Ain't nobody care about what happened 30 years ago, never.
Yeah. And also, when Marty's with his lady friend, what's his lady
Jennifer.
friend? Jennifer. He's, properly, properly in love and happy and everything. And then he just pervs on some
He has
some
a
other
big
girl.
dirty perv, doesn't he?
And Jennifer seems used to it. She just turned his head away. Come on, Marty.
Come on, Marty.
What's he like?
He's
Wandering eyes.
Wandering eyes.
Marty McFly's Wandering Eyes.
I think we got a new band name now.
We've got some more band names coming up.
Alright, well, no more is it evident that Marty is aspirational and wants out of this doldrum life when we meet his shit family. Who is Dad, who is so painfully obviously a loser that we see him with the main baddie of the film, Biff the Bollocks.
Yeah, he's already ragging on that pencil pusher.
That pencil neck geek, George McFly. First time you've seen Crispin
Glover?
Hellion Glover.
He's weird.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I was fine there. I thought, okay, he's playing a, genuine nude. But I thought, okay. But then he keeps being like a
he's weird in like a truly... He's weird in the sense that you don't have to tell someone he's weird for you to understand that they're weird. Because, a lot of times I'm like, oh, this guy, strap on your crazy hat because he's weird. Yeah. Crispin Glover is just objectively weird.
Yeah.
He didn't come back for the sequels.
Did he not?
No.
Is he just in that?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, there's a bit of controversy about that, but he apparently he's notorious for, being just aloof and not one to get on with. And
right.
I'm fascinated by the man. I at one point considered him a hero, but I realised I had to kind of understand my hero's motives for me to consider him a hero.
I'm going to start Wikipediaing him when I get home.
Re-listen to Clowny Clown
okay,
now that you've seen this.
Because I thought that was the zany, goofy doctor making some weird music.
No, this guy is legit. He's weird.
Actual weirdo.
Yeah. So Marty's dad is a loser.
That's a wrestling thing. There.
It is.
Okay.
Marty's dad is a loser, and Marty's mom is a lush.
What's a lush?
A drunkard.
Okay.
She comes in like a bottle of vodka strapped to her.
Yeah. I'm just saying when Biff's basically bullying Marty's dad, I've written that I hope this Biff prick gets hurt. So.
Yeah. Hope, fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed that
at least Biff didn't lick him it was a McFly. Hello.
So it's established that Biff's a bit of a prick, but you think, well, we're not going to see that character again. He's
I'll tell you off the bat, one thing that did live up and was consistent was that Biff was my favourite character when I watched this movie originally. Biff is a constant source of non-stop entertainment in this film.
Not as in like an aspirational role model.
Oh God, no.
Okay.
No, I wasn't hoping to be knocking on people's heads, but I thought
all the other kids would I want to be Marty McFly. And no, I'm a Biff man.
I'm tall. I want to be Biff.
Yeah.
We also get established in this point that is another Pepsi film. 2 in a row.
Oh my God, there's a lot of Pepsi in this film. More than Terminator.
Regular Pepsi, Pepsi free. The characters talk about Pepsi.
Oh, so much Pepsi. You think that's good? Pepsi paid a lot of money to
Isn't it because it's like these are movies that are ingrained in people's childhood and nostalgia and part of the pop culture and all that. And fuck me, there's a lot of Pepsi in this. And not just Pepsi. JVC, Goodyear Tires, obviously the DeLorean, well that's, maybe less than California Raisins was meant to have a big thing with this. But product placement is just like, people always complain like it's a new thing.
No.
Like when people complain about the iPod being in the US office featured so much and all that, or Staples being in the US office, like, well, no, it's just like this racket's been at it a long time.
Yeah, definitely. And we were talking about Pepsi before the swirl, and that was just coincidental. I had no idea.
Did it make you thirsty for Pepsi seeing all this?
It really did. Thankfully, I've got some in my bag. So
if we need to take a break, let me know. Right?
Yeah.
The dinner of exposition and serious loser dad vibes as well.
Oh.
It's actually quite depressing, this scene.
Loser family. They really set up the whole family as being...
The family is a family of losers because the siblings are out to be losers.
Yes.
The mom is
the
a
sister's
loser.
like, I can't get a date.
The brother is like works a crappy
joint.
job at a burger place. The uncle is in prison.
Yeah.
But it seems to all crux on the fact that the family is crap, and the main problem is that Crispin Glover can't focus on anything other than the TV show.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's kind of down to him, like...
Yeah. We establish how Crispin Glover, George McFly, and Mum McFly...
Mama McFly.
Mama McFly.
Mama McFly.
Just how Mama McFly used to make. How they met. We hear about this car crash.
Yes.
Hit by car. Plot point.
Yeah.
Another little... Remember this thing that happened long ago in the past?
It's like you're putting together a jigsaw and your mum has come and go and picked up the box and go, see, look, that's what we're building towards.
And
it'll look like this in the end. Just put these pieces together.
I'm going along with it. I'm feeling very smart for being like, I imagine that's going to come
I put together this 24-piece puzzle all on my own. Actually, I'll have you know that.
Yeah.
So we have Marty who has to go to his prearranged meeting with Doc Brown.
At the mall, at the Twin Pines Mall.
The Twin Pines Mall, where we see Doc, who's in his big white van.
Yeah.
In the middle of the night.
Okay, Kevin's fan theory.
His fan theories.
He's a creep.
He's a fucking creep, man. One line of dialogue to explain. He saved me from blank. He is teaching me science. Not just, hey, let's go meet that old eccentric single man.
No, they're just time travel buddies, but they don't know it yet.
When Doc Brown appears, you just went, let's sell some toys.
No, that's when the DeLorean appears. Because he comes out in the DeLorean, doesn't he? He gets...
Fuck me, you know what?
What?
Hang on a second.
Have you got a DeLorean?
Oh my fucking god, hang on.
Have you just seen it in your room?
Holy shit, I got a DeLorean!
Okay.
Look how dusty it is!
Okay, we'll get a picture of this for the Twitter and Facebook. We'll pose with it in a bit.
Back to it. Sorry, that was a massive...
Back to the Future.
Back to the Future.
That's great. Yeah, when I saw the DeLorean, I said, that's going to sell some toys. And then Kevin's found his DeLorean toy.
I've got a DeLorean toy.
That's great. See? Point proved.
There you go. If there's any proof that apparently this movie had a much bigger impact than I realised, that I've got a DeLorean in my bedroom at this very moment.
Aww.
Moving on. Mm-hmm. Car's sound effects, did they seem familiar to your ear?
The car's sound effects?
So it's driving going like... all that kind of stuff?
No.
Only bloody Star Wars sound effects,
Is it?
Yeah.
Ah.
Spaceship sound effects.
That's good.
So, yeah. So, 88 miles per hour.
Yeah.
We're
not 66.
Not 66. Doc Brown has revealed to us that through a little experiment with the DeLorean and his dog Einstein.
Oh, yeah, he's sending the dog.
Sends the dog back a minute in
this horrible Leica situation. Is it Leica? The dog
Russian Astro dog? Yeah. But
what?
He's got a big smile on his face, mate. What does he care?
Yeah, but what?
Dog gets to pretend it's people, drive a car like a man.
What's he doing?
It's good for species to be aspirational as well. Reaganomics, man.
Right, but...
Do you want to be a dog or do you want to be a person driving a car like a man?
Dr. Brown is a zany doctor, right?
Don't call him Dr. Brown.
What?
Because then he sounds like a real doctor.
Okay.
Doc Brown.
Doc Brown.
Dr. Brown told me I had tonsillitis.
Doc
Brown went back in time.
Doc Brown, right, he's a zany doctor. He says himself that he before this, he hasn't done anything that's worked, right? And he's so confident sending that dog in time.
Makes you wonder how he got his doctorate.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's, hopefully that'll come up in Back to the Future 2, when they go back and cheat on the tests. He's a wacky doctor. He doesn't quite know what he's doing. He's a bit, off the wall.
Yeah.
I wasn't comfortable with him putting that dog
Putting
at
the
risk.
dog in, yeah.
Because I thought, I mean, obviously it's going to be fine because it's a film, right? But with that character in that situation, that dog will probably crash into something and be dead.
And also as well, I mean, like if someone has studied the topic, being lost in the realms of time is an animal welfare concern. Like,
yeah, Kevin's you're a zoologist.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. So that would be of a concern for the dog in the realms of time.
Doesn't come up.
Doesn't really
much,
usually.
But
sort it out, Defra. Fuck me. Come on. 88 miles per hour. The golden number. Car goes back in time a little bit. We know now as well that it's guess what? Plutonium. But it's only the missing plutonium.
We've already stolen it.
And also as well, we got a lot of... This isn't so much exposition as in kind of... This is the stuff which you'll have to shout out at a freshers party really loudly so people know that you're normal and have seen the movies.
Okay.
1.21 gigawatts. Yeah. Flux capacitor.
All the words.
Yeah. See, if you said all those during Freshers Week back in the day.
It's like, what, you're going to see some serious shit?
Oh, yeah, that was...
It's not a question of where we're going, it's when, which I'm sure I've heard in Lost from one of the timey-wimey characters.
Most of the dialogue here could fit on a t-shirt. In one way or another, like, you know. So, I did make at this point an observation. Doc Brown, he's an awful lot like Frasier.
I don't know Frasier, though.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
We've been over this before.
This is the problem with having like a style of humour that is reference heavy.
Sitcom
you don't
swirl
get any of them.
Will be happening soon, but we'll just let this one, you know.
Okay, so the baddies are coming.
Oh yeah, sorry, the Libyans.
Yeah, I love that they can't go terrorists or do the real smart thing, which is make up a terrorist organisation like they did in X-Files, something like that. Just something so we don't have to single out a group. The Libyans! Yeah. Ah!
But, on the DeLorean, we see the panel with all the dates on it.
Oh, fuck,
I know that from like Facebook and Twitter and Tumblr and everything.
It's the long-running thing, which is basically everyone.
This is the exact date that the thing, and there's a website that just pumps out a new one every day.
Yeah, and every few days it's like someone falls for it, and here we are. But
that's where I recognised it from.
That was like the one still you've probably seen of the film. Like.
Yeah.
But in terms of singling out.
The Libyans are coming for their plutonium that they wanted stolen for a terrorist bomb.
Nuclear bomb.
Yeah.
I like the way they think that, certain times Hollywood kind of goes, well, this country is just vague enough and unknown enough.
Yeah.
Like, it was like Tom Clancy once had, like, Georgia as, like, to the east of Russia, like, as being, like, the baddies. It's like, you know what? Libya, really? I mean, come on.
It's a bit much. And when the Libyans are coming, they're in their Volkswagen
Beetle.
So they've obviously just got word of where Doc Brown is after coming back from their summer holiday.
They've come straight from the seaside.
Yeah. So they're not in a good mood.
I love though they can't go, here are the Libyan terrorists. It's like, no, here are the Libyans.
The Libyans, yeah.
Libyans.
This is what they're all like.
If you've got look, it's a Libyan passport, run, it'll explode. It's a little bit on the nose. Aspirational 80s humour.
Yeah, and then there's a Libyan chase. Well, no, actually, Doc Brown gets shot. Sorry.
Yeah, he gets shot, like, in a pretty harrowing moment.
By Libyans.
Yeah. Bloody Libyans.
Ugh.
Typical, isn't it?
Shooting out of a camper van.
They love...
Leaning out of the sunroof.
I said to them, bloody Libyans, innit? It's like, they love their camper vans. They only like it so they can lean out and there's lots of room for their AK-47s and to keep spare ammo in the back.
Yeah.
Typical Libyans.
So we've established that the dog can travel in time. So that's all sorted now.
Doc gets back to the murdered. And after he gets shot, you just went... 88 gigawatts, which led me to question if you were paying enough attention in the film.
That was just for you. But yeah, no, so Doc Brown gets shot and Marty needs to get away from these Libyans. Doc was going to go to the future, right?
Yeah, he was going to go 30 years in the future.
Okay, but he didn't get a chance. Shot by Libyans.
Yeah, and now Marty's been chased by Libyans, so to escape, he goes back to the future, aka the past. He
goes back to the past in this
comes
instance,
from the future to the present day if you're looking at it from the 1955 point of view.
Yeah. Yes. He goes in the magic car, drives really fast, and hits a scarecrow.
Yeah. Marty's first few moments when he revives back in the past are scary. We have barn trouble.
Old man farm.
Farm.
I remember Remember about 30 years ago when all of this was farmland?
Owned by this specific farmer. Wow.
Who would be mighty upset if
if a DeLorean were happened to run into a scarecrow and barn.
Yeah.
So yeah, Marty's in a bit of a jam because he's in a radiation hazmat suit.
Yep.
So they think he is an alien.
Yes, there's some great Old Man Farm.
Oh man, Old Man Farm is all over this shit.
He's wonderful, and his whole family. There's "Take that, you mutated son of a bitch," which is a fabulous line, and also I just picked up on Space Bastard.
Space Bastard.
Which we're talking about band names.
Wow, Space
Bastard.
I know, Space Bastard sounds like more like it'll be our seminal album for Raging Waters.
Okay, it's Raging Waters in at number 2 with Space Bastard.
Mate, aspirational, Reaganomics. We're going number 1.
Yeah. Well, what's Reaganomics?
I don't know, it's like being a dickhead in the 80s for the sake of being a dickhead in the 80s.
Yeah, number 1, Space Bastard. Raging Waters.
With a bullet.
Yeah. The follow-up to Murder with a Good.
So we get, after barn trouble, car trouble. The DeLorean's not work.
Need more plutonium.
And yeah, we get this. Oh, I love this. Is one of my favorite scenes. And this scene did bring a smile to my face again, regardless of jadedness. He goes to Hill Valley. It's the 50s. You see how everything is different. Like
he goes home.
The Texaco is different.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
And like everyone is neat and tidy. Goes into a cafe.
Oh, you were so excited about this.
I was so excited about this. Yeah. Particularly when you went, gee, the future sure looks old-timey.
Yeah.
Fucking hell.
Well, I was lied to by the title.
Back to the Past.
Yeah.
No, it should be called Going to the Past for the first time
This
ever.
future doesn't look quite right, It looks all old.
So he goes into the cafe and...
I know the whole retro culture thing is happening right now, but they've really taken
it too seriously. Hill Valley it's the new Portland, Oregon. Everyone's dressing up like it's a different time. Yep. So they go to the cafe.
5-cent coffee.
Yeah, now what a time to be alive, am I right?
That's what I was saying you were excited about.
Yeah, 5-cent coffee.
Yeah.
Well, I was also excited because I knew the myriad of puns and misunderstandings. Now, you love a good misunderstanding.
Oh, I love a comic misunderstanding.
Can I get a tab, please?
You can't get a tab until you order something.
All right, can I have a Pepsi free?
If you want a Pepsi, young man, you're going to have to pay for it.
Hey, can I...
Fork handles?
Or 4 candles.
Oh, God damn it. That was...
The only thing was missing was for the owner of the cafe to have the brown workman's coat that the two Ronnies always had.
And glasses that you can wiggle. Need R2-D2 doing some...
What, is Pepsi Free kind of a precursor to Pepsi Max?
I don't know.
I'm left in the lurch on this one. I have to relay it to the Pepsi expert.
We're not going to look it up. We'll just assume it's kind of some cool 80s products.
Pepsi,
there were many cool 80s products.
Pepsi, in a mad attempt to compete with Coke, gave it away for free.
Yeah.
Didn't work.
Wasn't there clear Pepsi or something?
That was Pepsi Crystal.
Pepsi Crystal.
Wasn't it? There was blue Pepsi as well.
There were a lot of Pepsis in the 80s.
Pepsi would fucking try anything.
Yeah. So Pepsi Free might have just been a brief offshoot.
Shock horror! Biff the Bollocks is a bollocks in the 1950s too. A slightly more rugged bollocks, but a bollocks nonetheless. Yeah. And George is a loser in this time as well.
Yep.
He's so awkward.
Oh, he's a very awkward man. And at this point, I start to identify with him. And this comes up later on that I just feel like, the kind of...
This will be the nicest thing I'll say to you all day.
Yeah, you're not that
awkward.
Okay, good. Thank you.
You've never been that awkward.
Right,
thankfully.
That means a lot.
Yeah.
Thank you, you Irish bug.
Oh,
which is the line.
Yeah, sorry.
Sorry, not to...
but he does call him an Irish bug.
An Irish bug.
Now, I can tell you right now, if you think McFly is an Irish name...
Yeah.
Not many Y's in Irish.
No.
No Y's, actually, at all.
No.
We would have an I fodder. Why? No. Oh, I don't know what this word is. Oh, look at him. He's got a different language. Can't make fun of it. I don't know it, so it's fine.
No, okay. But yeah, Irish bug.
Irish bug.
And I know, is that a thing? That can't be a thing. That's just, he's Irish and he's calling him a bug.
He's a bug. I don't know.
Okay.
I'm surprised they didn't call him a Mick bastard, as people tended to do in the 50s.
I know Biff fluffs some insults later on, but gets away with it because he's
Might have been,
rough.
yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe he wanted to call him an Irish booger, but got lost along the way.
Yeah, but
somehow.
Biff and his big bully gang can rough up.
And they're such a brilliant stereotypical 1950s bully gang.
It's amazing.
As in, they'd be a bully, and then you can see them all get into their hot rods, like a big trail of fire, just a big wheelie, and and they all just think,
we show that
nerdlinger.
Let's split.
Let's split because we have loads of free time because he's doing our homework for us.
Yeah. He gets bullied in the almost identical conversation to what happened at the start of the film
in the future. Yeah.
And Goldie's there, Mayor Goldie.
Oh God, this was so on the nose. It was brilliant.
Yeah, and I'm gonna make something of myself. And then Marty just says,
Marty keeps forgetting that he's in the past.
Yeah, he slips up a lot. Yeah, you could be mayor.
You're mayor in the future. Hello.
I could run for mayor. And then there's a horrible sort of racist owner of the thing saying, I didn't want to say it.
A coloured person could never be mayor, I believe were his words.
Yeah, Mr. Carruthers.
Oh. Well, you know what? First of all, at least he does become mayor.
Yeah.
And second of all, there's a tendency with Hollywood and movies of that nature to kind of gloss over and pretend that there weren't incredibly racist, and it wasn't race tensions, things like that.
Definitely, and there's more of this later on, and
I think it's one of the movie's more admirable qualities that actually showed the inequality in this instance, despite the fact it's altogether a very happy-go-lucky movie. Yeah. That's kind of like, oh boy, the way people were massive racists back then. And
the past was shit for a number of reasons. This is one of them.
You take your 5-cent coffee with a pinch of salt. Well, I take 2 sugars with mine.
Fuck's sake.
Thanks very much. We got number 1 in the iTunes charts once we'll go like that. Beat that, Kermode. Yeah? Beat that wordplay. Yep. So we find out, in addition to being a loser, George is also a big, massive pervert.
Yeah, he's in a tree and he's spying on a lady. And I was going to say, this is where Marty obviously gets his wandering eye. But he's a bit more... I was going to say he's a bit more subtle, but he's not when he's...
It's not a wandering eye when you've got binoculars. Yeah. His eye wandered up to the catalogue in Argos to the big pair of binoculars that will let him look at ladies undressing. That is what his eye wandered to. It's gross.
That is gross.
It's so fucking
really
gross.
Bad. I think George is supposed to be like a sympathetic character, but you've got to remember, he's properly like being a creepy perv.
And he's all oily and fidgety. And when you put a pair of binoculars in a man like that, he ceases to be sympathetic.
Yeah.
But the idea was that, he was meant to get run over at this point, but Marty knocks him out of the way. Mm-hmm. Marty gets hit, which leads to the incredibly awkward and hilarious moment, which is Marty's mom has got the hots for her future son. Which, if you've seen the episode of Futurama,
that's the
Roswell That Ends Well, is basically entirely a nod to this.
Which is great. But... Again, with the kind of exposition, Marty's in bed. He's been hit by a car. He's woken up by his mum.
And you're thinking, it's a crazy dream.
Oh, I had a terrible dream, Mum. He keeps saying, Mum, because it's her voice.
Yeah, and she's in the shadows.
And it's like, I had a terrible dream. I went back in time. So, well, you're here, back in good old 1955.
There's a phrase.
Yeah.
Because actually, I remember we had a nice cup of tea while we were watching the film.
We did.
And I do believe I said, thank God we're in good old 2014. Rolls off the tongue, that, doesn't it?
Yeah, it comes naturally.
Yeah, so Marty, in another moment, which makes him incredibly weird, like, Futurama do the whole thing with Fry and his grandmother.
Yeah.
And he's, incredibly scared by the whole thing. But, when Marty sees his mom, he goes, you're hot!
Yeah, he's kind of conflicted, isn't he?
So he's leaving because, it's beautiful 1950s, 1955, good old 1955, where if you get run over, as long as you're provided with a hot shower and a bed to lie on, no lawsuit. Yeah, and he's leaving, and all you hear this beautiful phrase, which is, Sam, stop fiddling with that thing and come and eat your dinner.
Yeah, and I've heard that a few times. Hey, that was a pre-prepared gag. About
masturbation.
Courtesy of Cinema Swirl.
Cinema Swirl. We do wank jokes, but we practice them first.
Yeah. On the little uncle's in a little cot, isn't he?
The uncle's in the cot, and he's like, you're going to jail.
Get used to these bars, kid.
Because that is what jail is a big cot.
Big cot.
So, Marty finds out where Doc Brown lives, who does not look 30 years younger.
Yeah.
And, he reveals all the info. It takes some convincing that he's from the past and whatnot.
Ronald Reagan, the actor. Yeah. Get out of town.
That's funny.
Yeah.
That is genuinely very funny, I think. Yeah, good on him. It's very, for all its exposition, because a lot of the dialogue is kind of telling you stuff. But one thing I will say is, every time they set something up, they do pay it off, even if it is through the means of exposition to set it up in the first place.
Yeah.
They don't leave you anything hanging.
No.
There's always loads of little bits in the background. This is a movie you can rewatch a million times and get loads of little spots in that. And also, as well, some of the gags are really fucking sharp. And this is, I thought the Reagan one is, I thought it was quite...
No, there are some sharp gags. But
for a Hollywood blockbuster, I'm thinking, that's nice, smart writing there.
There's also some pretty bad hammed up stuff, like the life preserver thing. That happens a lot. And then there's the, if you ever have a kid who acts that way, I'll disown you.
Yeah. True that.
She will. So when I mentioned at the start the bits where I was a bit like, it's because some of the jokes are a bit. They're really.
No, some of them miss the mark. Yeah,
really
well, I think there is some intelligent, quite smart humor in there.
Definitely.
I think peppered across.
Yeah, and so Doc Brown not convinced.
No, he's not. Yeah. And then he starts. He basically tells him a story about how Doc came up with the idea for the flux capacitor, and he
shows him the video.
And he shows him the video, which we get a nice shot of that high quality JVC. Like, I wish I could live in a time with such a finely crafted item.
Yeah.
It's a camera, a TV studio in the palm of your hand.
Yeah.
Available now from JCPenney's, you say. Incredible. And on these little cassettes, you can play from any TV. Order now.
It is great. And he's sort of looking at this video of himself and saying, oh, that's me. Look
I'm
how
an
much
old
I've
man.
aged.
Yeah, I'm an old man.
Because he really has to say it.
Yeah, because the only difference, 30 years of not combing your hair, that is the only difference to Doc Brown in this thing.
Yeah.
But Doc Brown is like, right, I believe you, but I can't help you.
Because the 121...
Yeah.
1.21
gigawatts.
Jigglypuffs, yeah.
There's even one... Pokemon hasn't been invented in this time.
Yeah.
So there's no Pokemon or Jigglypuffs or
so they're in trouble.
They're in big trouble.
But this has the big 100. What I keep saying 121.
1.21.
This has the big 1.21 gigawatts.
And he's just dancing around, bouncing off the walls.
He's going cuckoo.
But the thing that convinces Doc to help him is like, Doc, you gotta help me get back to my time.
I've got a girl.
Is she pretty?
Yeah, this actually
fan theory.
Your fan theory is starting.
Is she pretty? The fuck does that matter?
Yeah, it's a bit gross.
Creep, 30 years. What's that young girl 30 years in the future? Sorry, this is how much of a weirdo he is. He's intrigued by a girl who's minus 13 years old. Well, hang on. No, I have to work this out.
Okay.
17 minus 30 is mine. Yeah, this is how much of a creep he is. He's intrigued by a girl who's minus 13 years old.
That is... I don't think any other paedophiles are that committed.
He is. That is like paedophiles who are attracted to the underage fathers and mothers of them. That's
amazing.
Ooh, I bet you young children will one day have a child that I will be attracted to. Ew, Doc Brown, you're gross.
Yeah, he is a bit gross there.
Put him in prison.
But, he says he can't help because plutonium, in the future, sure, he can get it at any other corner store.
I mean, Tom, Dick and Harry like.
But here it's a bit more difficult, so you're stuck. The only thing that would generate 1.2 gigawatts. It's only a bolt of lightning.
Yes, and we happen to know...
I don't know if there's... I mean, they're going to really be hard-pressed to find an instance where they can really harness
the clock tower, which stopped 30 years ago when it was struck by lightning.
Oh, I remember now.
And they know what happened because the clock stopped at that moment. So, you guys at home probably didn't figure that out when you watched Back to the Future. But
smart.
But me and Sam are smart.
It's like the paperclip thing all over again.
It's basically, yeah. We have figured it out really good. Marty is goofed though, and now realises that his main impetus is that he has to get his parents to have sex and all that jazz.
Yeah.
Because Doc explains to him that he may have caused himself to not exist anymore.
Yeah, so we need to get him home. We need to get you back to the future.
Yeah, back to from whence you came.
This is some kind of hot tub time machine.
You have to return to the future. Yeah. So he's interfered a little, which Doc Brown is convinced him that was the worst thing ever. You should not interfere in, they're loose with the laws of physics in terms of time travel with this. It's a lot less serious.
Yeah.
But they're like, interfering is bad. So to compensate for your interfering a little, we're going to interfere lots.
A heck of a lot.
Loads.
Yeah, and this is pretty heavy stuff, Doc.
Yeah, particularly because Biff is all over George's supposed would-be girlfriend. And that is a massive, big problem.
Yeah, I mean, Marty keeps saying that things are heavy, and this is another kind of two Ronnies thing, where Marty's saying this is pretty heavy, and Doc says, "Oh, weight has nothing to do with it," and then he says it again later, and it's like, this is pretty heavy. There's that word again. Is everything heavy in the future?
is everyone
Wiggly
fat in
glasses.
the future?
Yeah.
Well, they are, but still, good gag nonetheless. Like,
Oh, it got a lot of groans from me.
Biff is quite intimidating. He acts a bit of a bollocks in the school. And the reason why he is intimidating is because he is a full-grown man.
Yeah,
like, he is, like, giant. Like, Brock Lesnar man in a school.
Big, scary man. Yeah, like Marty's come to the school to find George and sort things out.
And George is all like, I can't ask a girl out to the dance.
Again, yeah, and he's like, I think she's already found someone that she's clearly interested in. And then we have Biff being basically Robin Thicke in this instance. I think he literally says, you know you want it. Oh, and he's already setting up the horrible...
Yeah, and it's great because this is a bit of exposition, which is Biff is essentially... Yeah.
I mean, I just thought he was a bully, and then he goes ahead.
Yeah, there's bullies, and then there's someone like that who's essentially like, hey, by the way, later in the film there may be like assault, and it's like really fucking worrying at this point that it's taken this rather nasty turn.
Yeah, but he does have a go at. Does he have a go at Marty or George at this point?
He has a go at Marty. Yeah, he picks him up and then
and says, "Make like a tree and get out of here."
Boom!
Brilliant joke. That's Biff fluffing his lines.
Classic
Biff.
That
lightens some of the tension there.
The very obvious massive storm cloud of tension. Yeah. So to help George, because he needs a lot of help.
He's not going to change his mind, George. He's like, nobody will make me change my mind. I'm not going to ask out that girl. And I thought, end of movie.
Credits roll.
Yep.
This was a nice tight 40 minutes.
That's it.
Now, who's going to help? Only our old friend making a return to the podcast, Darth Vader.
Dark Vader.
From the planet Vulcan.
Close enough.
I like that. It was good.
Yeah.
It was a neat scene.
He shows up.
So George has got kind of false confidence now, which is a step in the right direction.
Yeah, because he likes his sci-fi.
He loves sci-fi.
So when an alien comes to help him, he's all ears.
Yeah. Well, he doesn't come to help him. He threatens to melt his brain.
Yeah, but yeah.
For me, like, I'm a deadly procrastinator myself. So, like, give me a deadline or threaten to melt my brain. Yep. Shit gets done, son. Yeah, so he tries to do an ask, but Biff comes in a classic bully in the 50s, pulls the jukebox out.
Biff and the Bastards roll into the cafe.
Biff and the Bastards, the antiphons. He breaks jukeboxes. Man. What a dick.
Yeah.
And Marty punches him he punches him right in the kisser.
Yeah.
We get a chase scene, which was admittedly, after the last film we watched, was...
Yeah, some of the chases here are not as impressive as Terminator 2, but that's a lot to live up to.
I may have felt that any chases we watched in films going forward...
might not live up to that.
Well, I mean, remember when T-1000 got covered in a load of poo?
Yeah.
And Arnold Schwarzenegger was on a skateboard.
Arnie improvised a skateboard.
Yeah, he invented a skateboard. And I love that he invents a skateboard and he gives it back to the kid. And the kid's like, hey, thanks. What's your name, by the way? Tony Hawk. Gnarly. Radical.
Here I am doing everything I can. Yeah, Biff crashes into the old shit wagon.
In the old shit wagon. Yeah. And they say shit. A lot of cussing in this movie.
Yeah, I thought it was...
For a childhood classic. A lot of cussing.
A PG, but there's some shits in there.
Like, you can say shit once, I think, in a PG movie.
They took it in a couple of times.
They 4 or 5 at least.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the other stuff as well. So, Marty gets asked to the dance by his mom while they're testing the model for the car. So, him and George hatch a scheme, which is gonna do it so... George can save Marty's mom from her future son because he's going to have busy hands.
And this is Marty's idea.
Like, this is like... he's like, yeah, I'm just going to like go to town on this poor innocent woman and you'll stop me.
Who is my mother?
This movie is dark.
Yeah.
Really dark.
It is.
Fucking hell. But George is like, oh, do I have to swear when I break up your attempted assault on my mother? It's like, bless his socks. Yeah. He's a cute one. So it is the night of the big dance. And a big swerve of all swerves turns out that Marty's mum is naughty. Could have figured it out from the fact that she is a raging alcoholic in the future.
Yeah.
But she's like, he looks over and she's drinking drinks. And she's like, oh, come on. Anyone drinks. And then she looks over and she's like, got a big cigar and she's inhaling the smoke. And she's like, oh, come on. Anyone smokes.
And Marty's really trying to...
She looks over and she's like bootlegging DVDs. Like, come on.
Don't be a square.
So basically, they kiss.
Yeah.
And then she looks at him and goes, there's something wrong about this. It's kind of like kissing my brother.
Thank God she knows, you know?
And I think we've all been there.
Yeah.
Fun fact, a girl once kissed... This is the closest I come to this. No girl has ever kissed me and then turned and said...
Oh, thank God there was a...
Yeah. No girl has ever turned and kissed and said, this is weird, kind of like kissing my brother. Because I'm like, well, first of all, why would you kiss your brother? Second of all, why would you tell me that? Thankfully, never happened.
Okay.
A girl once did kiss me and looked me dead in my eyes and go, I bet you love your mother.
Ugh, God.
Now I do. Now that's neither here nor there, but I wasn't appropriate at the time to bring that up.
Wow.
I wonder if she's listening. The girl, not my mother. Okay. We've established
she has no idea. Yeah.
Biff is here and he says he wants his money, which he claims he's going to take out of Marty's butt.
I'm going to take it out of your ass. This is when the band who's on, who come back into play, during the dance, this big important dance, they just say, we're going to take a break now, but we'll be back in a bit. And there's no music at the dance for however long they take the break. Mate, this was
before iPods and CDs
Yeah,
were
you can't
invented.
just put it on shuffle.
Can't put it on the shuffle, lad.
No, they've got to have a smoke. So, they're out.
Literally a smoke.
Yeah.
Right, the next scene is like, it's...
Oh, yeah. Right, now, Biff is a lot of a bastard at this point. He's a bit of a bastard at this point. We don't like Biff.
He's a bollocks, like.
Okay.
He's a bully.
So Marty's in there with his mum, and Biff comes in. He's obviously furious because he was, he crashed his car into the shit wagon.
It's funny because like Biff comes and you think he's going to beat up Marty, and then he's like, yeah, hang on a second.
Yeah.
And then he turns around and he's like, I'll be a few minutes.
He gets his friends to basically take that guy out of here.
So I can rape this person.
Yeah.
It's really shocking.
Yeah.
Because, like, I'll say first and foremost,
God.
He's enough of a baddie without doing that.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's a movie which is quite whimsical and childlike and a raucous family comedy for the most part.
Really...
And just boom out of left field. Because you and I were watching, chuckling it away, and then all of a sudden this scene comes, we're like, fuck.
And that's like properly.
And he cut back to it 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
And like George comes and he opens the door and he looks at him all scared. He's like, just walk away, George.
Yeah. The awful moral quandary that George is in there.
And like, this is something that because I was like, oh, Biff is my favourite character. And I remembered all like Biff being wacky. And it's like, Jesus, did we really need the scene where Biff is like...
Yeah.
Like, you need your villain. I get that.
But that's like, really playing up.
For me, I mean, people will disagree with this. It's, but from my point of view, I don't know about you, but it feels like this kind of sensitive topic or whatever, if it's not intrinsically important that you have to do it and resolve it to make a point, this seems like they were doing it for the sake of doing it.
Yeah.
And it felt like...
It's adding like another layer of he's a bastard, but you didn't need that.
No.
And it's such a horrible scene.
It is. It's a really horrible, uncomfortable scene.
Yeah.
Like, it's cool you see George stop it and he mans up and he punches Biff and all that.
Yeah. And
but kind of after that, you want to see him like pull a gun and shoot him.
Yeah.
It's like it doesn't seem like he got his comeuppance.
No. And while Marty's out of the action, he gets locked in a boot of his car, doesn't he, or something?
Yeah, he gets locked in the boot of the band's car.
And Biff's bully mates, they only go and be racist to the band.
Don't they use the one of the old timey racist words, which is a racist word, like. But it's like, again, it's like, fuck, we have like rape scene. And then massive racism scene. And it wasn't kind of like the earlier scene where it was kind of like just showing you, those were the times. It was kind of like it was more hateful, I suppose. Yeah. And again, this last act of the movie gets mad dark for this little brief period.
But then that means they save Martin, he gets out of the thing, and the guitarist cuts his hand, which I'm sure won't come up.
No, of course not.
But no, George gets, some...
retribution, steps up to the plate a little bit.
And also
But you know what the sucky thing about it, though, is... This is what sucks, is that... Yeah. You got a female character who's been like, has been attacked and all this stuff. And then he comes and he saves her. But it's not about him saving her. Then it becomes about George manning up. And it's like, hey, look, George became a man. Don't worry about the woman who he saved. Yeah. Like, when you use a rape to put one of your main characters up on a pedestal, it's just a little uneasy. Yeah.
So, fond nostalgia for this movie you must have.
I've completely forgotten about all this. And that's like what's really shocking.
It's really dark.
Is like stuff like this in these movies. Like, I don't remember the product placement. I don't remember this, frankly, kind of like dodgy part of the film. It's like, and I saw this movie when I was 6 or 7.
And she goes to the dance with George because
perfectly fine.
Saved her, and that's fine. They don't let's call the police.
Yeah.
But okay.
I hope someone doesn't make the argument like it was the 50s.
Oh yeah, but then
The movie was made in a more sensible time. I don't know.
Anyway, they go to the dance, and the dance is happening, but the band's not going to play. And if the band's not going to play, it's not going to be music. They can't dance. They can't kiss. So we need someone who can play guitar.
And even though George has managed to successfully ask Marty's mom out and everything's great, but Marty is like, yeah, without the music, I'm going
Make
to
them
disappear.
kiss.
Make them kiss. He's going to shove their faces together.
But in fairness, they're disappearing from the photo. So
that's true. And he actually starts to disappear himself at one point. That was fucking scary as well.
Yeah.
Dark as shit, man.
So they're playing the standard songs that this band were playing. And then
what songs?
Then Marty decides to try something out. He goes, okay, guys, here's Wonderwall.
This one's called Wonderwall. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, but he plays Johnny Be Good.
He plays a verse of it, yeah.
Yeah, and there's hey, it's your cousin.
He's calling Chuck Berry.
Yeah. Martin Berry or something. It's like, hey, listen to this.
That's been parodied a gajillion times.
Yeah, and I said it's been parodied in a Simpsons episode, and you were very upset because it's one of the worst.
Oh god, because
episodes.
It's the Simpsons episode. I mean, if you're listening to this, chances are you're of the ilk that you think New Simpsons is shit. And yeah, it doesn't get much worse than the episode where they retcon the backstory. So Homer and Marge meet in the 90s when Homer forms Nirvana.
Yeah, but there's a scene in that where it's like, hey, it's your cousin George Cobain or something. If you want a new sound, listen to this.
Apparently, Matt Groening saw that and he said it was like he watched it and he was like visibly upset that this had happened. But yeah, but you know what? It works because they kiss. Everything works out fine. Looks like the photo is back to normal.
Yep.
And now they got to go back to the future.
That's that bit sorted.
That's all taken care of.
If your kid sets fire to a rug, don't have a go. And they're all like, okay, yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty much sorted.
Just a kooky thing he says.
Kooky. And so we have to get back to the future. And this is the kind of scene which comes out that I don't think we can describe and do justice. Because it's like, car breaks, wire breaks. It's alright though, he goes back to the future.
Yeah, basically.
But it is, I mean, even though I've seen it a gajillion times, when you had Doc Brown trying to put in the...
Oh, it's very tense.
Really tense. And gets me zazzed up.
We didn't establish Doc's whole scheme for this, but I think everyone who's listening knows the scheme.
Which is to use the lightning to bring the car.
But that's dependent. That's really tight on time. Fucking Marty gets changed out of his zoot suit. I'm not going back to the future without my life preserver.
Wait, he comes back looking like a square. They're like, mate, go back to the past. Yeah, you're not welcome back in the future looking like that scrubby look you've got.
But it's tense and it's great. It's a great scene.
I love it. Yeah, it's brilliant. Yeah. I think scenes like this is like kind of, I think, what makes movies like this so enjoyable. Where it's like, it's a romp and it's so easy to suspend your disbelief and get caught up in it. And even if you've seen it a million times, you've seen it for the first time, you always kind of get that,
still get G'd up.
Did he drop the cable? Yeah. There's only 4 minutes.
Yeah, it all happens.
Yeah. So Marty goes back to the future, but he gives himself a little extra time because he's plotted this time. He tried to give Doc a note saying that he's going to be shot, and Doc is like, but Marty...
No, that'll screw up the future.
If you tell me about this, maybe JVC will make all these quality products. Think about your kids, Marty. They won't grow up in a world where they can have high-definition TV in their very own living room from JVC.
And drink Pepsi free.
They'll have to pay for it. But yeah, he goes back, he gives himself 10 more minutes.
To sort out the Libyan showdown.
I'm like, the fucking stones on this kid thinking, I can sort out an insurgency attack in 10 minutes.
Tight 10, yeah.
Tight 10. Gets back, car doesn't work again, so... Yeah. Sees Doc be shot again.
Yeah, must be pretty traumatic to see something that you've already seen from a different perspective.
And to see yourself have a gun pointed at you from the Libyans.
Terrifying.
And whatnot. But Doc Brown, he has got bulletproof on him.
Yep.
He is fine.
He's okay.
And it's all fine. So, I mean, you get this kind of nice scene. It's one of these things that, as a kid, I thought was very sweet. And so you go back and, like, his family's basically changed entirely.
Yeah. Everyone's like...
successful now.
Burger Boy got a suit now.
He's like, hey, why are you wearing this suit?
I always wear a suit to the office.
Burger office, Burger office is where you work.
I am the president of
McDonald's. I am the president of burgers.
The sister, she's got loads of dates. She can't get off the phone with all these boys.
Too many boys. It's her problem. And he's like, and this is great as well. Like another shining example of Hollywood with their female characters here. It's like, oh, the son's all super successful. You know, Marty's dad George. He's a best-selling author. He's great. He looks amazing.
Sunglasses.
He's like, and he can accomplish your dreams. He's a big, successful house. And Mom, you look thinner.
Yeah.
Fuck off. Jesus. Like, can she write a book?
No, she's not got the beer belly anymore.
Clearly not. Yeah. So it just goes to show you, kids, if there's something intrinsically wrong with your family, just go back in time and change them all. It's like, if there's something wrong, be a different person.
Yep. And in the future, Biff's there.
And he's a loser.
He's waxing the car. Now, I said this to you at the time, and we could both agree that having to wax a car and be a bit of a, like, sort of...
It's not exactly a fitting punishment.
For, you know, a man who was planning to...
Not 15 minutes ago was in the act of committing a sexual assault. It's kind of like, you better put on that second coat, you son of a bitch.
Look at him now, waxing cars, but still okay, you know, dressed like Alan Partridge.
Yeah, so I mean, there you go. It'd be like...
Everything's great.
Everything's great.
Back in the future.
And Marty's got his car, but for me, it's kind of like, it's a real, what's wrong with the aspirational style of the 80s, which is like, oh, life sucks. If only we had more things.
Yeah.
And our lives, our personalities reflected that. It's like, success is not a personality type, but that's how they've made it out. It's like, oh, no. He changed himself as a person. He stopped being self-conscious, so therefore he became successful. And it's like, it's a little too... As a kid, I'm like, oh yeah, but as a jaded adult, the message of Back to the Future is a little bit lost to me now. I think that's kind of what made the movie not sit so well with me.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. Oh, and at this point, obviously, everything's great, but the sequel turns up. You know,
before he's like, hang on, there is going to be a sequel. Yeah. Now, I will say, out of all the Back to the Futures, Back to the Future 2 is probably my favourite. I think it's way better.
Okay.
And it does some... such clever things in Back to the Future 2.
I think we'll get to it.
We will get to it, I think. Because I think this is one which, like, even for my own selfish reason, kind of like, because I like Back to the Future 2 so much, I want to go back and have a gander at it to make sure that I'm not kind of missing out the boat here. But, I mean, overall, what do you think of this?
This is the first one where it's like, I enjoyed it, but...
I think talking about it has made you maybe...
Yeah.
Because when we came back from Terminator and Star Wars, we were like, press record, and we were
like,
fuck
yeah! Yeah. It was really...
I know, we've had good weeks, like, overall, you know. So it's not as if we're, like, down in the dumps, but it's just...
No, it was okay. Yeah. I'm giving it, like, 3.5 star wipes, I'd say.
3.5? Your lowest rating to date?
I mean, the star wipe rating is pretty pretty well established.
Well, no.
It's pretty vague.
Are we permitting half wipes?
Yeah, I think Star Wars got 4.5.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. So 3.5 for Back to the Future.
3.5, maybe 4.
Do you think if you saw it as a kid...
Oh, no, I'd enjoy it more. This is the first one where I think I would have enjoyed it more as a kid.
So
but
this
now
is kind of
I've got some cynicism that has ruined it.
Kind of futile almost, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting, though, because, I mean, for me, these are ones that I would suggest people to go back and watch for the first time. Because it's like, for me, when I sat down and watched Star Wars, it's like, just like old times.
Yeah.
And Terminator 2. Just like, you know, the previous 51 times.
Yeah, with those I didn't feel like I was losing.
But with this one, it was kind of like, I was so aware that I was an adult watching Back to the Future this evening with you.
Yeah.
And maybe half it was reflecting the fact that I was watching it with you for the first time and you weren't like, you were literally jumping up and down and gasping at points and laughing every 5 seconds. The other films. With this one, there was kind of a silence.
And there was some groans.
I was kind of like... Fuck, man. I am certainly in my mid-20s.
Definitely not a bad film at all.
No.
Very good.
No.
I want to see the second one.
A couple of problematic moments in it,
yeah.
though, you know. But,
so, I mean, this is what we thought would happen with all the films, but this is
nice to know that, that it's not the case throughout, like. But don't get me wrong. It deserves to be... You know,
have the reputation it does.
Yeah, it definitely deserves that reputation. But I just think me personally, my ability and your ability, it seems, to get that much enjoyment from it seems a little bit hampered.
Requires childhood
mirth and whimsy.
Yeah,
which I
don't have anymore, unfortunately.
I know. I think I still have it because I felt it in the last 2 movies.
I said that actually. Yeah.
You know, so it was interesting.
Oh.
Are you interested to see Back to the Future 2 off the basis of that?
Yes.
Though?
Yeah.
And are you interested mainly because of the story? Or?
Well, because of the story, like I do want to see what happens. They really set up a sequel, like very obviously in a nice way. And also, a lot of the people voting for this week did say Back to the Future, but Back to the Future 2, please. which is a lot like the Terminator 2 situation, but not as much.
You definitely need to see Back to the Future 1 before you see
I would miss a lot if I didn't see the first one.
Very important question with this.
Okay.
Was this funny? Did you find it funny, the film?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The reasons for finding it funny
what were
varied.
What made you laugh in this film?
The kind of bad puns, the silly like sketch moments.
Yeah.
Some of the actual scripted jokes were funny, but then also some of the hammy kind
stuff,
of.
Yeah.
Hey, well, in the future, maybe blah blah blah, made me laugh because it was like so like obvious. But I think maybe that's the point. I don't know. It was funny.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. I need to keep reminding myself that I enjoyed this.
Yeah, it was interesting. Yeah. I'm really interested now, off the basis of this, to see what you think of Ghostbusters. Because I haven't seen Ghostbusters since I was 18 or 19.
Yeah.
And I'm fucking deathly afraid
that
I'm going to have the same experience.
The thing about Ghostbusters, we're not going to put that in the vote for a while, because Ghostbusters, I think it's like 30 years or something.
It's getting a one-day re-release in the cinema.
And we're going to try and go and see it in the cinema. So
an actual cinema swirl.
A special episode of Cinema Swirl where we'll watch Ghostbusters. So if you're wondering why we're not including that, it's because we're saving up until I think October.
But there you go. Back to the Future. 3.5 star wipes. You heard it here first. Thanks very much for listening to another episode of Cinema Swirl, and as always, make sure you go over to facebook.com/Cinema Swirl and vote on our upcoming episode. And also be sure to follow us at Cinema Swirl on Twitter to keep up to date with all the latest happenings. And if you're on iTunes, leave a rating or review. Be sure you subscribe to get all of our episodes directly as soon as they're available. This episode was produced by me, Kevin, and was edited by Sam, and the music for this episode was also made by Sam. Make sure as well you head over to youtube.com and check out the Cinema Swirl YouTube page, where you can see some amazing animations done from episodes of past. Also as well, if you've got a question, query or comment you'd like us to discuss or go over in the opening moments of any episode, be sure to send your emails to cinemaswirl@gmail.com. The funniest and best ones will be read out. Thanks very much for listening to another episode, and as always, we'll see you next time on Cinema Swirl.